I'm Kat Timpf with National Review. The First Step Act, which President Trump signed into law in December 2018, included a provision that retroactively applied the reductions in penalties for crack cocaine offenses that Congress passed in 2010. Now, the U.S. Sentencing Commission reports that more than 1,000 federal prisoners have benefited from this part of the law, with the average sentencing reduction being about 30%. As a libertarian, I have to admit that I really wish the law had gone a lot further. In my view, no one should be in prison for their decision to use crack cocaine or any drug. This country is, after all, supposed to be built on a foundation of individual rights and liberty. And locking people up for what they choose to put into their own bodies quite obviously counters those values. Still though, this is a great initial step, and one for which both Congress and President Trump certainly deserve credit. According to a column in Reason, the past severity of penalties for smokable cocaine compared to snortable cocaine dates back to the panic about the crack epidemic in 1986. That year, Congress instituted mandatory minimum sentences for crack that were 100 times harsher than those for powdered cocaine. It was a stupid, unfair distinction, and one that had seriously disparate impact on the black community because crack users were usually black. Fortunately, the Fair Sentencing Act of 2010 recognized and minimized this injustice, reducing the 100-to-1 ratio to an 18-to-1. This was still, in my opinion, an unfair distinction. Crack, after all, is basically just smokable coke, and it also didn't apply retroactively. That's where the First Step Act comes in. Thanks to this law, 1,051 crack offenders, more than 90% of whom are black, have seen sentence reductions, with the average reduction being from 20 to 14 years. Although I'd like to see our drug laws move much further away from the oppressively punitive ones we have now, at least we're moving in the right direction. It's up to us to make sure that this trend continues, for the sake of our fellow Americans who are suffering greatly under the cruelty that is the status quo.